and welcome to Mr. Opera. And it's Tuesday night. And you know what that means? It means we're going to read some Manuel Garcia. Oh, Christopher, I'm sorry. The mic went out. I think I'm on. I think I'm on. Seems like I'm on. Oh, yep. So, yeah, maybe I was just, I'm sorry, Christopher. I suppose I may have been stuttering. I don't know. Maybe I was like actually stuttering in real life, and I'm seeing if you're paying attention. But anyway, on the docket today, Manuel Garcia's hints on singing, which I gotta say, I think we've gotten most of what we're gonna get out of this book, but we can see some interesting things still. And I'm also gonna be doing some viewer requests. We've got a cool video today. Little series of videos actually, and I'm actually going to talk about some shenanigans in this video that we're going to be watching. And let me get rid of this text to title here. Let's get rid of this. So I made this cool little title at the beginning, about role models, because we're going to have Mario Monaco and Franco Corelli, and these guys are like two, I think, I don't want to use the word archetypes, but I think they're really good role models in the sense that, like, let's say, so people are going to accuse me of wanting to make cookie cutter singers or something like that, right? But let's say that you like to make dresses and stuff. You might start with a pattern that's like printed on paper and stuff, and these kind of like standard shapes or whatever and stuff that you're going to work with. And there's nothing cookie cutter about that. It's just that that certain patterns have a way of functioning to the advantage of the person using them. But usually a pattern of position or motion. Let's see if I can bring up my new school singing thing here. So if we got a pattern of position and motion that a particular singer is using, there's probably a set of advantages, maybe a set of disadvantages, but definitely there's going to be a set of considerations that go with that pattern. And Franco Corelli and Mario Monaco, I think, are two super interesting singers to compare, because in my opinion, they use essentially the same vocal modes and densities and stuff. But the way that they assemble them together to make phrases, and when they choose to be in, I guess, what we're now calling opera edge, from the CVT edge sound, this kind of more nasty sound with more, you'll see more head rotation and no covering. And then what I think is more of an overdrive based sound, if you're checking out complete vocal technique, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not, then say something in the chat and maybe we'll get you hooked up with some resources for learning about some of the terminology that I'm talking about. I've got one channel in mind that, in particular, where I could send you to watch some videos that will sum up what I mean when I say vocal modes and what I mean when I say something like overdrive, and then when I kind of modify the word a bit and call it opera drive, or when I use the word edge and when I modify that a bit and call it opera edge, which is just kind of a nod to, I don't know, the sense that we're apart in classical singing, that it's a kind of singing that's apart from the other singing. So, in any case, Mario Delmonico and Franco Corelli going to be essentially using very similar vocal coordinations in very dissimilar successions, or not very dissimilar, but somewhat dissimilar patterns of succession, one following the other. So that often when we're comparing them, they're doing the opposite thing. But then if you take a step back and you were to give a one-sentence summary, and then let's say you only had one sentence to say everything you wanted to say about Franco Corelli, and then let's say you only have one sentence to say everything you want to say about Mario Delmonico. Are you saying anything really different about the one versus the other? Assuming you didn't already have in mind that you were going to be comparing them. And I wouldn't be. So I would say, well, it's a lot of fuller density, edge, and overdrive. And then I would say that about Franco Corelli, or I would say that about Mario Delmonico. And I would be, I think, correct in both cases. And nonetheless, these are different singers who are doing often different things and have different habits. So there's a cool, I think there's a cool conversation to be had here. So what do you think, Chris? Since you're vocal tonight, should we be reading Manuel Garcia first? Or should we be checking out some video first? Manuel Garcia or checking out video?
You're tearing me apart! You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again!
Yes, and I have a new interrupting thing. So, what do you think, Chris? Well, anyway, I guess since you haven't answered, I have to pick. Okay, let's do some hints on singing. I hope you weren't gonna answer that you want to go straight to the material, because we're gonna quickly read from hints on singing and kind of get our homework over with. So where were we? We were on trills and shakes and stuff, I think. Yeah, shake or trill we did last time. And we talked about Caprino. Oh, that was a while ago. Jeez. Okay. On the 13th, we were there. Yeah, we had talked about consonants. We've actually covered a lot of stuff in this book, haven't we? Distribution of words on notes is not a huge concern, I guess. Okay. Yes, phrasing. I think that's where we were. Section 37. Manuel Garcia. Hints on singing. Section 37. Phrasing. Is all music subject to regularity of form? By no means. Music is both regular and irregular in its form. When submitted to the recurrence of symmetric accent, it is regular. In this case, the rhythmic instinct reigns supreme, as in verse. When free from regularity of accents, rhythm, and cadences, it is irregular, and, like prose, follows in its development meters of different length, obeying the impulses of inspiration. Could you name any examples? The following pieces: Caddi e ver, Resurrezione, Handel. Dignare, Te Deum, Handel. Tutta raccolta, Ezio, Handel, are fine specimens of musical prose. A yet more complete example of liberty in melodic prose is to be found in chants and recitative. These, while obeying the rules of prosody, are independent of all rhythmic regularity or symmetry. What is phrasing? It may be simply to carry out the musical punctuation, or it may be, taken in a wider sense, to give to each phrase its proper effect in the general conception of a piece. With these two objects in contemplation, what are the principal subjects to which the student must devote his attention? Prosody, rhythm, the formation of the phrase, the choice of breathing places, expression, and style. Question. Prosody has been already treated. What do you mean by the word rhythm? Answer. The impression produced upon us by the periodical return of movement and accent. What is a musical phrase? In rhythmical music, 4 bars, less commonly 3, and more rarely still 2, constitute a musical phrase. This last dimension is, however, more generally considered as a section than as a phrase, and generally takes a line of verse. In musical prose, the number of bars is arbitrary. A single phrase would give a vague and incomplete impression. A second phrase of equal extent is needed to determine and complete it. 2 such consecutive phrases may form a sentence or period. A further development of the musical idea will require periods of equal or greater, it must be a word missing, extent, and so on to the end of the piece of equal extent. Well, here are some examples, and we have some different sections of Handel and some Beethoven. Let's see. Non tortar gioia bella. Okay, that's actually, I like that part from Manager Figaro. And yes, what renders? Oh, yeah. Do these examples include every sort of phrase? No, they merely present what seems necessary for the guidance of the student. The subject can only be adequately considered in a treatise on composition. What renders each phrase of melody distinct? The strong initial beat of the 4th or 3rd bar, as it may be, rests placed after each recurring group of bars, semi-cadences used in the first beat of the 4th or 3rd bar, and the punctuation of the word. The first and last note of a section or a phrase are often respectively preceded or followed by some notes necessary to complete the musical idea. Are there any lesser musical forms? Figures, which are small groups of notes presenting a sense to being the smallest. How do you distinguish figures in melody? By the return of the same small groups of notes with repeated or different intonations. Here are examples. And so we have some examples. No, some true author's notes here. This rule finds many exceptions in the composition. Yes. And the subdivisions of sentences, phrases, etc. might be pointed out in many. Yes. Okay. Okay. I mean, it's more or less. I think the most important part of this particular section is that it tells you, you need to read about composition if you want to learn about these things. Generally, and I guess it's interesting to note, but like generally, singers often like don't have formal education on forms and stuff, or if they do, like me, it might be a really long time ago that they were thinking about musical forms and had to do exams and stuff where you analyze a piece for form and all that crap. And I hate to make it sound like we're just idiots or whatever, but basically my job is like learning melodies and words and then acting like characters who are like living and breathing, but instead of talking and stuff like normal people do, they make musical sounds and stuff. It's complicated. I do operas. And it's one of those, learn on the job jobs. How can I put it? Most of what you learn in the theater. And when you're on your feet doing scenes and stuff, you're probably you're affected by musical forms, and you come to internalize musical forms that you'll read about in composition books and stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're conscious of them, that that they're a big deal to you, labeling them and stuff. Yeah, they just they affect your phrasing and stuff. But to you, it just kind of goes like this. Anyway. So shall we go on? What do you think, Christopher? Or shall we go straight? Let's go to Mario Delmonico. I read some Manuel Garcia, which justifies me reusing the settings for Manuel Garcia. And let me check. I'm going to check the health of this stream here. See, it says excellent connection. So it looks like maybe my internet's working better than it was last time. Let's hope that keeps going, because we're gonna watch some Mario Delmonico and Franco Corelli. Yeah. So let me restart my little. And we also have if you're coming from This Is Opera, or if you're coming from Mr. Opera, and you'd like to join in on the discussion, the two things left on the docket tonight in the live stream, I guess, are more of these Mario Delmonico and Franco Corelli examples. But also, we can, if we want to, go back to this duet from Otello, because we've only watched one phrase of it. So, and there's lots to talk about So these are still these four examples of Già nella notte densa from Otello are still loaded into OBS here, and we can go back to them. Yeah, so here we go. I gotta stop here, because I was preparing for tonight, and I noticed, like, wow, this Mario Delmonico is so much louder. Okay, yes, okay, Christopher. What I'm gonna do actually is turn down the. Let's see. I'm going to turn down the latency and see if that helps. And let's see. See here. No. It can't be done in the middle of the stream. So, I'm going to try to turn this down from inside of OBS. Let's get this... One second here, guys. Well, let's see if this gets us any closer to a healthy to a healthy stream. Let's see here. It looks healthy on the web page. So I'll try to get it going. I don't know if it's on my end or your end or what. So okay, back to this Mario Delmonico and Franco Corelli. The interesting thing about this is how much quieter the Franco Corelli is. And as I was preparing for this, I was gonna even it out, but I thought it would be more fun to have to like ride the fader on here. So that's what I'm gonna do. But I wanted to show you how sometimes, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but this was published elsewhere. And the Mario Delmonico example is turned really, really, really high. The volume's, and so someone might argue, well, he's just, he was louder or something, or one of these ways of singing is more powerful. So that's why I wanted to keep this intact. And maybe I should have just for one of these transitions, because now it's going to get annoying. But don't listen to the singers. Forget about the singers for a second. Just listen to how loud the orchestra is. Okay, so I hope that made the point. Okay, there are some differences, but one giant difference on here is that one of these videos is really loud, and the other one is sort of loud. And that includes the orchestra. It's just everything. Like when you look at it on when you look at the file, you load it into like a video editor or something, or sound editor. Doesn't matter, whatever you want. You load it up and you look at it, and the waveform is just like on one, it's occupying the whole thing, and then on the other one, only like 2/3 of it is occupied. And the way that happens is that one is just turned down. So there's no signal on the rest of it. One is just turned down really far. Yeah. So I'll try to even that out for you. The thing to notice, especially, is when is Corelli using this kind of overdrive thing? When is he using the edge thing? And also, when is that the case for Mario Delmonico? The overdrive thing, if you want an easy way to think about it, just think it's yelling. So when either of them are doing something based on yelling, like, hey, you! You know, these kinds of things. Okay, that's just yelling. There's no art in what I just did, right? But that doesn't mean it's a different vocal coordination, essentially, from using that to sing classical music. You have to refine it. Maybe you'll have to tune your vowel in certain pitch ranges, etc., etc. But still might be based on that. When you see the singer in this more kind of overdrive way of doing things, in this coordination that I'm calling opera drive, you won't see, or you won't tend to see, upwards head rotation, or a lot of upwards head rotation. Doesn't mean they can't like move their head or adjust their head up at some point. But you won't see something like, for instance, crazy articulation, in which the singer is, instead of simply moving the tongue up to the hard palate, like moving the whole hard palate away from and towards the tongue. My explanation for this is that they don't want to move the hyoid bone. And they also want to make these changes to the shape of the vocal tract, opening and closing the mouth like this. And it makes more sense to just rotate the whole head and then try to keep things still than to try to keep the head still and then muscle your way into a shape that you could have easily had that shape just by, you just rotated your head and now this opened. Okay, that was easy. And now your tongue is okay. So this is the edge thing that I was talking about, but the overdrive thing, they're going to usually have the chin rather close to the chest in some way, or closer. I'm not going to see this big gap opening. And it's going to have a darker, more mellow sound. You'll tend to not hear so many covered sounds in this edge mode, as CVT calls it. And just like this overdrive was based on yelling, this edge is going to be based on this kind of nasty open sound. The easiest vowel to use, if you're trying to look for this edge sound, I think the easiest way to find it is with either or ah. but make it like a bright. Don't make it like oh kind of ah. The vowel is really interesting because you can use it. This usually like almost the same vowel will work in this opera overdrive or also in edge, but in the opera version you'll tend to round out the if you're in overdrive, so it'll become more like So edge, unlike this hey you, is gonna be based on this kind of thing. And you start to see rotation of the head because this kind of articulation helps to not disturb the foundation for it, which is squeezing the epiglottis, and often pushing the tongue a little bit forward or flattening it out so that it's, in some cases, like between the molars and spread out. So let's watch and try to identify who's using what, as best as we can. We might have to get like a real CVT, certified person on here to really look at this and shed some more light on it. But I'll try to do my best. This to me is the more rounded thing. Okay, and now this is more nasty. So I would say we had something kind of like a kind of lighter approach. Lighter in the sense of this is hard to express properly. This sound that we're hearing Corelli making when you're in the hall listening to it, you're not going to think, well, it's light. it's fuller density. But it's got more cut as opposed to kind of push of overdrive. Now, Corelli here is more pushing than cutting, shall we say. So the e vowel is not nasty. It's turning into almost like a French vowel. Like in English, you might call it a kind of a schwa. It's quite rounded, so it's not. I don't know. It's not really, but and if you're referring to the area of interest system from New School Singing, you want area of interest number 5 to be somewhat deeper or more expanded than area of interest number 2 for this. So now this is a perfect example, I think, of the upward head rotation. And I'll turn it down a bit. Or if you guys don't mind the difference in volume, I guess it is what it is. But neither of these approaches is louder than the other or more powerful than the other, because both are based on the same. They're based on the same things. They're just they're choosing to use one or the other at different times. Like, it's a personal touch, but both are using the same tools, essentially. And now we have the upward head rotation. Let's turn this up a bit. And a brighter, kind of slightly lighter, nastier sound. Rotate the head back down. And now, rather than, shall we say, like peeling open, more rounding the edge, kind of maybe biting down a bit or lightly, and then pulling down what's behind it to really deepen the vocal tract. And then fluidly switching back. That was, I think, so this is starting, shall we say, as if okay. So if you picture that you want to throw a jab, or a straight punch, as opposed to throwing a hook that comes around, right? This forward throwing punch would put your body in a kind of attitude, a particular attitude, for as if you were throwing a ball forward. It's the same thing. It's the same movement as a baseball pitcher pitching a baseball is a boxer throwing a haymaker. It's really close, right? And that's very different from when a boxer is throwing a hook, where they're rotating around this. You could say there's like an imaginary pole here, and they're rotating around this pole. When they're throwing this hook, if you look at the middle part of their spine, it's not going to be extended. It's not going to be pushing the chest out. It's going to be more pulling the chest inwards. There's plenty of forces trying to pull the chest out, but if you're doing this, you're not connecting. You're sort of going, right? You need to keep the chest in and send yourself rotating around this imaginary middle point. If you do that, just learn how to do that. Throw a hook, okay, throw a straight punch. You've got the basic two postures these guys are using. Or you've got the, shall we say, how do I put this? You've got the blueprint that holds them together. And this more opera drive one, this thing that's based more on yelling, if you associate that with the way you would feel when you're throwing a hook, if you know how to throw a hook, and then this other thing I'm talking about, this more nasty, slightly lighter thing, associate that with throwing a ball forward, or these kinds of behaviors. Then watch a video like this. I think it can be pretty useful. Let's see if there's a. Okay. So onwards. Now, there's a difference between rotating the head up. Let me see if you're watching. There's a difference between rotating the head up and when you're keeping your chin close to your head, bringing the whole body angled so it's angled this way, which would be more. It's about being expressive, so it's not singing to the floor essentially. Which some people wind up doing in the quest to get the chin close to the chest for a more yelling kind of based approach, or opera drive, or a more covered approach, or more mellow approach, more pushed approach, whatever you want to say. Let's watch a bit more. But that's based on this throwing a hook posture, shall we say. Believe it or not. If you're not seeing the connection, let me know. If you are seeing the connection, let me know. I don't know, Chris. What do you think? Am I talking like total gobbledygook to you? Let me know what you think. And then what would you predict there? Please let it be the opera drive. Oh, that's interesting. He backed off the pressure a lot, and I that's maybe this half metallic mode at the very end of this phrase. And that's something I don't think we hear Corelli do. This particular sound. Is that curbing, neutral? I'm not sure. But this is the one thing that Delmonico does that's more to me sweet than Corelli. And so that often Delmonico to me has this quality of crying in his voice. And Corelli rarely has that. It's always got a lot of metal in it, to me. I guess he does use some neutral like everybody else. But so, Chris, I guess the best set up your body like you're in the middle of throwing a hook. Take a breath and make some sounds. is I guess. What's important is you're going to want to be keeping your upper back more rounded for the one sound, for the more mellow, more pushed sound, more yelling sound. And then you want to keep your upper back a little bit more extended, your chest more forward for the more nasty sound that they call edge. And if you're coming over from, if you hear from This Is Opera and the quality isn't great, try heading over to Mr. Opera. We may have to start just streaming to one channel and then uploading to the other or something like that. That there. And if you've got some topics you'd like to see covered on the show, feel free to send those to the real Mr. Opera at gmail.com. Any YouTube clips you'd like reviewed, or your own stuff. If you'd like me to take a look at it, I'd be more than happy to. In the middle is ambiguous to me what he's doing. This is more in the direction of the overdrive thing, I think. And I'm kind of basing that on the what I'm seeing more than what I'm hearing, because what I'm hearing, I'm a little bit confused. All right, more the overdrive thing, I think. So, this explosion at the end. Let's take a look at this. I don't know. I'd have to. Jeez. Yeah. Okay. So Christopher, yeah. So when you're, might as well talk about this now. And I think this is more in the what we're seeing here is more in the edge direction in this frame. When you have your back rounded, you may notice that it makes. Get a sip of water. So when you have your back rounded, if you keep the area nice and stable, you may notice you can get your, if they're mobile, you can get your scapula to glide over this area. Let's see, let's make myself a bit bigger. So if I keep my back rounded, and I round too much, now I'm kind of collapsing on myself. But I've got this kind of hump right behind me. And if I maintain this kind of tucking idea, right, and I at the same time pull back. Wah! Yeah! Ah! 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 It's great. It's great. The fun part about this is your shoulders that you're using in this move are directly connected to your hyoid bone. I know it sounds weird. There's muscles that go from your shoulders. They pass through your neck muscle, which is not connected directly to your voice at all, and then connect to this little bone that's at the top of your larynx called the hyoid bone. And these muscles go from your back and connect to the front of your hyoid bone, not to the back. It's not like they go to the back of your hyoid bone. This thing's shaped like a horseshoe, right? And there's two perfect spots to latch onto in the back of the hyoid bone. And I'm glad now I don't have to pull it up, but whoops. Sorry. What have I done there? Oh, yeah. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Sometimes I make a mistake, and I accidentally push some buttons. So who knows how long I can get stuck in some kind of weird sound effects mode.
Anyway. Yeah, these muscles connected to the hyoid bone are running to the front, not to the back. And that means that rounding your back and retracting your scapula can lead to some actually larynx lowering or larynx stabilization that's coming from your back, it's from your shoulders, because of where these muscles connect. These muscles are called, let me see. Oh, I think I can, they're called the omohyoideus muscles. And Let's see. Let's see if see how this thing works out. Hyoideus, omohyoideus muscles. And what is this? What is this? Oh, this is the wrong shit. Okay. Omohyoideus. Omohyoideus muscles. Bringing that up there. Let's see. Take that away. Yeah. Get myself out of the way a little. Omohyoideus muscles. And these are making a connection from, let's say, let's look it up. I think it's the scapula. Omohyoideus. Let's go to KenHub. Musculus. Oh, what's this wiki script here? Wiki. Omohyoid muscle. Let's see. Omohyoid muscles. Origin. Superior border of scapula near the suprascapular notch. So there you go. Superior belly, intermediate tendon. So it's passing through the sternocleidomastoideus muscles, which is this. Let's see. Make myself bigger here. That's the sterno. Oh, I can show you. Okay. There's my sternocleidomastoideus muscle. There's my larynx, right? If you think behind there is my scapula, and passing through this guy, it turns into tendon, and whoop. No, whoop. Where's my there we go. Oh, that's what I was doing. That side. So, and it comes out the other side, and then connects to the larynx. Why don't you experiment with it, Christopher? My own feeling is that when I want, and maybe it's not to do with the omohyoideus, I don't know. But when I want to use this, I make this kind of hump on my back and I retract my scapula. It's about the scapular retraction. And you do. If I pull hard, I do wind up kind of doing this kind of thing. And I notice that when I do the move, if my larynx is like here, it gets pulled really hard, like towards my my sternum. So I don't know what gives. There's other muscles involved, obviously. So it's from the scapula, and then how to make an arrow here from the scapula to the hyoid, which is basically your larynx. I'll put that there. Yeah, that's what we got going on. Push this under here. Yep. And then in the other setup, you're going to be extending the spine, and I guess that has another effect. Probably both pulling down. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you're just moving the hyoid away from it. I do know that if you have an injury and this muscle has problems, you will have not just, it's not just singing problems, like you'll have instability in your speech and stuff. So yeah, Christopher, when these moves aren't lowering the larynx, it's because essentially you're mimicking part of the move, but then the actual kinetic chain to the hyoid isn't there for some reason. Could be, I don't know. Sometimes it's the breath is really small, or the neck is not actually in a position where this is going to contribute to lowering the larynx all that much. I don't know. I don't have all the explanations. I know that my larynx dives like that when I'm doing this, and this seems like the explanation for why it's going down and why that seems to be related to these arm and rib, or these shoulder and rib movements. Shoulder and chest. Oh, that's ribs. Shoulder and rib movements. Shoulder, rib, head movements. Now we have the chin kind of buried into the chest, which it helps. We'll get the idea, I think. I wanted to show the next one because, oops, oh, what happened? I put them all into one. That's why I put them all into one clip. So I wanted to get to this because we see in profile the crazy head rotation that can be involved. It's not that it's crazy, but the very distinct head rotation that can be involved. And check out how this isn't going to go, better not, or I'm going to look like I'm an idiot. So this won't go, I predict, with the mellow sound, or this yell-based sound, or this, what I call opera drive. This is going to go with the edge thing when we see his head moving like he's one of the Canadians from South Park. You know these. I hope you watch South Park. Pretty cool show, funny show. So on this show called South Park, there's Canadians, and the way the show tells you that they're Canadian is that they're, instead of their mouth moving normally, only the top of their head moves and the bottom of their head stays still. And that's how they open their mouth like Pac-Man or something. So let's see. And then now we're in the range where it's a lot easier to see. So if he's using this vocal mode in a lower register, I don't know, it gets a bit more ambiguous watching it from the outside. I mean, I always know what it is I'm trying to do from the inside, right? But someone watching from the outside doesn't. But when you see this, watch his head. And the overall position. I mean, if we look at this here. Boop. I'll make a whiteboard. Bring this up over here. I guess I'll need a different color. That's not a great color. Yeah, that's pretty good. So let's I'm going to look for a cherry pick for the most extreme moment here. Oh, I guess you don't. That was it, I guess. So if you look at this, kind of curve. That's what you're looking at. And that's going to be closing and opening like as fast as the consonants and vowels are. So it's really, really distinct. It's hard to miss. You write that one right there. Wait. Right there. I guess there's no way to zoom in on this because there's no data there to zoom in on. I could try. Let's see. If I make this bigger, I don't think you're gonna see any more detail. Oops, not that. This one. Yeah, this isn't helping things. And now it's going to be all messed up. Yeah, so unfortunately you can't see anything further when I zoom in. It's better to just leave it like this. So I guess the way to do this one, here's what I would suggest. Yeah, pull your tongue back like this. Put your tongue in your throat. Put your tongue in your throat. And then, after you've got your tongue in your throat, push your chest forward and rotate your head upwards. I'm going to make myself bigger. Boop. So you start with it's totally wrong. It's the wrong sound. Whatever. Everything wrong. But it's just to do it. You put the back of your tongue where you would get that sound. Right? Because this can help to get your larynx in position a little lower. And then you're going to try to secure your larynx with your hyoid bone down here and kind of back. And hold it in place, like near your chest. Okay. And now, pull your tongue back and rotate your head until it's no longer in your throat. And you can play around with the, different shapes you can get, lifting the upper lip. Just make the craziest sounds you can think of. And the only thing to avoid with this is the sensation of biting down. Avoid that. No matter how big the thing you're biting down is, you're going to be using jaw tension, but your jaw tension should be opening in some way. And then you can help with your chest, whatever you want. And you can think of reaching forward with the back of your tongue when you want to make consonants. The interesting thing about this is that I think, especially later in his life, when Corelli is using this coordination, he's got trouble with the letter S. And but Corelli, Delmonico doesn't have this problem here. But you can hear. I think yes. So the S is still the S sound. Can't sound like this in this coordination. To make this, it sounds weird, but you can't make this consonant in this coordination. If I make this sound, here's my my hyoid, and I cannot make this sound with my hyoid bone part down here. To make the sound, the hyoid slips up. I can keep my hyoid down here and make something that's kind of like close enough. A consonant substitution. I can make sa, right? But the more I sa, if I let myself make that particular consonant, not a vowel, the next vowel that comes out, I'll get caught. And this S sound and then the L sound is murder when you're in this vocal coordination or trying to use this vocal coordination. This more edge-like thing. This more edgy, nasty sound. Where you're gonna open your mouth probably like a Pez dispenser or like the South Park Canadians. And I guess I should make a note or something that I need to get some second, guys. I'm gonna let's see. Scene notes. Yeah. So I gotta get some Pez dispenser kind of themed things to use on the show. 'Cause I think that would be really helpful. Maybe I'll order a Pez dispenser. That would be better, I think, for singers to be getting Pez dispensers than straws. And then maybe I could try to get like a Mr. Opera Pez dispenser. That would be awesome. Okay. You can hear a big difference in metal between the two voices. That's interesting. Let's hear that again. The other guy. There's just no metal in the sound. And that's a big difference. But then I have to ask, like, isn't this other guy also an old school singer? And why doesn't he have the same sound? Why is he not singing the same way as Delmonico? And so, like, which ones are the old school singers from the old school? And which ones are not old school singers? I don't know.
Dovrebbe un cantante servirsi della voce di petto?
No.
So if you're trying to figure out what is this metal sound, I guess listen to this clip. Because to my ear, I mean, this other character has very reduced metal or no metal. So if you're listening carefully, there's a kind of roughness in the sound, and if I put it into my voice and take it out, now I don't have it in my voice, and now I'm putting it more into my. Now I'm getting it into my voice. Hey, now I'm putting it more and more. Hey, a lot of metal. Hey, very smooth. When I use this neutral vocal mode, it's very smooth. And as I start to make it twangy and start to use a little more pressure, there's a kind of roughness that can show up. That's the metallic sound. And in this case, Mario Delmonico is using it in his singing voice, and the other guy isn't really. But both are old school singers. So they had both of these around then, obviously. Someone must have been teaching them that. No, and it's like it's contagious, so there's no metal in his sound there. Or very little. Now it's back. And that's a really good example right there. So watch the head. And then when he's singing low, he winds up having to. Let's watch it again. So, and that's, I believe, is not. I don't think something bit his toe on the stage there. I think he's moving his head like that for a functional reason. And without that head movement, without the abrupt head movement, you would have abrupt change in sound instead. But this, I don't know. These are the things to watch for, I think, when you're, if you're, we're reading Garcia, yes. We're reading the old school texts, great. And then we're also watching the old school singers here, and I think this is the way to watch them. These are little details, I guess, but they are really important. Right, so there's the head, I guess, head raising and lowering is really active in this particular clip. I just did a performance last week. This show. Wait. Oh, no, that's not it. This show. No, that's not it. Yeah, this. Okay, now that clip has some kind of rounding in the sound. Don't ask me which mode it is. I'm not sure. I'm going for more the edge thing, but then trying to soften it a bit, I guess. But in the first act of this show, there's no, you can't be this soft. You can't be this like sounding like you're in love or something. You're leading the Israelites in the murder of some Philistines and with plastic lawn chairs. And so you have to sound like a proper warrior, because no one's going to believe you otherwise. You're trying to kill people with plastic lawn chairs. So in order for it to be not ridiculous, you have to you have to sound really heroic, right? So, but this whole first half, this whole first scene with the crowds and everything, you want to do this way. If you're, I don't know, if you're me. And then this is followed by a trio where you would want to do everything more in this kind of boxer approach. Both are boxer approach. In the approach of throwing hooks, the more yell-based approach, opera drive, because it's more mellow and actually sounds more loving. So Christopher, I think what it's like for Delilah there is just loud. But I tried to actually try not to sing right into the ear, but anyway, I like my acting. I like acting, so I don't like the kind of acting or directing where people are essentially dolls. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Where people are sort of dolls and you place them into certain positions at certain moments, you know. I like it when the scene... Oh, look at this stuff. Let's look at some of these head rotations. So, notice how nasty the sound is. And I don't mean nasty as in, like, it's not good. This is Delmonico. Are you kidding me? But wait, real quick, before we... So if you're watching this, and you're interested in some one-on-one work... Okay, my ad that I'm about to play is getting a little bit out of date, but I'm going to play it anyway. But the time is coming nigh. It appears I'm moving my... moving up the date, or for moving to Berlin to like the end of the coming month. So if you're going to be in Berlin, Germany, and looking for some one-on-one lessons, then
It's a fake.
no, it's not. Okay. Notice it's like tracking the pitch. You know, I mean, part of the way he's getting his mouth opening is with this head rotation now. But these shape changes, they're not like just for the heck of it. And they are dictated by the mathematics of like which pitch he's singing. So that's why they go with the pitch. That's why you often see the shape of the mouth tracking the pitch in certain vocal coordinations, and others not. Right, so but to go up that one extra step, he needs to get that last little bit of extension out of his neck. Now, and in this range, this pitch range, you're not going to see the same thing. So find me a frame where you see this position, or this position, and a low note. You don't see it. So hard to say that it's not functional. You can try just keep your whole larynx and tongue in place, and get in front of a mirror, or in my case, I'm in front of a camera. And look at what happens to your tongue if you just try to keep everything in place as much as possible, and then rotate your head. And if you make a sound, it's going to change it. And that's without making any other adjustments. If you work hard to hold certain things in place while not working so hard to hold other things in place as you do this kind of movement, you can wind up pulling two things apart, shall we say, or pushing two things together. And those are the shape changes that actually, they don't necessarily result in this sound. Like, for instance, like just having the right shape and the resonance isn't going to make this sound. You also need a similar source to be vibrating. And that's a whole, it's a different topic, but it needs to be said that like you can't oversell the technical part of things. If we're using my shall we say, okay, new school singing rubric. You've got knowledge, and heart, but this fitness thing is huge. And fitness includes like how fat are your vocal folds? It's not like your cardio, right? But it's still part of your fitness relative to what it is that you're trying to do. Like what are your actual capacities? That's fitness. And if you want to make these sounds, you can't just know how to do it. You also have to be able to do it. And that means for a lot of people, like actually just making the ligament stronger that's inside your vocal fold. It's made out of collagen and it takes time to grow. I think like 6 weeks is the minimum for starting to get some kind of change. But I think that needs to be like pretty stiff if you're going to be able to do these coordinations. It's not like soprano singing. Take away our should do something like
It's not like soprano singing. Make sure I got that turned off. No. Yep, no, it's not turned off.
Yes, it's not like...
Oh my god, how long has that been on? I hope it hasn't. Anyway. This kind of sorry. Oh, not the best time to be making a lot of noise. I guess I shouldn't be doing it now. Sorry, guys. I'm getting used to my current situation. I'm gonna be in trouble. Mr. Opera's gonna be in trouble later. If in case I don't show up next time, it's because I've been murdered by my partner. But I don't think I'll be murdered because she totally loves me. But yeah, she's also trying to work, and probably her work is a lot more important than mine. But can't help myself. Gotta do my live streams. Anyway, so we get the idea here. This whole scene, he's like really relying on this. But that's not necessarily all we're seeing from Delmonico. And in this scene also, although it's got a really aggressive sound, this edge, it's not as I don't know, it's somehow not as muscular as when he's using more opera overdrive based this more yell based coordination, with the spine more flexed and without a lot of this head rotation, because you're trying to keep the neck rather short, and you in this opera drive coordination will have a light or heavy form of biting. It might be that it's a kind of biting where like your lips are covering your teeth. But you might be doing also like like these kinds of old man who's really anguished and has no teeth faces that you see Corelli doing. But you'll have some kind of jaw tension closing, and in this other one you'll have some kind of jaw tension opening. So maybe I should let's make a little we can watch a bit of this, and I'll type while you watch. And I think more the edge thing there, but I could no, might be more the opera drive. What do you guys think? I guess more the opera drive, considering these mouth openings and the chin freedom, I guess. This is a good time to watch how quickly or how slowly the chin moves away from the skull. So what we had before was more the skull moving away from the chin, remember? And this is the chin moving away from the skull. But let's say if there's jaw tension, oops. Yeah. So if I take this away here, yeah. So for your opera drive, more biting, or shall we say, it could also be relaxed. Biting or a relaxed jaw. And then for our opera edge, this Pez dispenser motion that we were looking at. The ooh valve is basically really far from the center of all of the things that we're trying to do. So it's always it's interesting to watch how different singers work with the problem of the ooh vowel. If you listen closely, it's never powerful. There's less and more powerful versions, but it's never really powerful. You don't have like, oh, let's give you a big high note on an ooh. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because it's inviting this much more closed mouth if you're going to have an actual ooh. If you're going to have a more open mouth, it's not going to be an actual ooh. It's going to be like, ew, kind of thing. And that's not ooh. We all know that's not ooh. Ooh itself is never powerful. And he handles it by just kind of, well, I mean, it's not a place where you need a lot of power. But just move through it and try not to disturb the coordination excessively. We had one so far. Nessun un. So I would say his strategy is to make sure his vocal tract is lengthened a bit. Ooh. Ooh. Instead of ooh. Ooh. And just, it doesn't seem like much, right? But when you lengthen your vocal tract by a small amount, the air inside of it, you can think of it, the air inside of it becomes heavier. It's the wrong physics. It's nothing to do with weight of anything. But if you think about trying to push something heavy, it doesn't want to move. It's inert. It's got a lot of inertia. It's got inertance. Yeah. When you make your vocal tract longer in some way, it will take that on, that quality a little bit. If you think about those straw exercises, it's part of what they do is they make your vocal tract really long. And that's raising how inert it is, how much inertance it has. And that raises how much it pushes back against your vocal folds. So when you're stuck with a crappy vowel like ooh, one thing you can do to help yourself is stick your lips out a little bit, or even stick your head out a little bit if you want to. As long as you're ready to get back into position. That's going to give you a little bit more to push into so that you don't have to lighten the vocal folds so much. Right, and then you're not going to get caught with stretched out vocal folds on the next pitch, on the next vowel. And the same goes for E. Now this is very, shall we say, tongue retracted? I don't know. Some of the this is some of the supposedly artificial darkness that people are talking about, which is to me it's just it's just from some of the larynx lowering winds up making room between the tongue and the hard palate. This area, not the end of the vocal tract, but just one third of the way back. When you expand that area, you get darkness. But also, if you constrict the area that's 2/3 of the way back from your mouth towards your larynx, you're gonna get a darker sound. And he's constricting that area a little bit and helps to make the sound dark. And if you're worried about, like, do I have artificial darkness if you're doing that? Well, does Mario Delmonico have artificial darkness when he's doing that? I don't think so. Just like don't make it suck and it'll be fine. If you suck, like being dark or bright probably is not gonna help. Like, you suck. I mean, right? So, but if you don't suck, then be bright or be dark, whatever you want. I mean, it's probably gonna be great. But he's doing a more dark thing here. That's a lot of metal. Listen to this E vowel, how rough the sound is. I'm not saying anything bad. This is awesome. It's good. And it's part of what makes it cut so well. Also, pay attention. It's not an E vowel. It's like E. It's not really E. Ah, that's awesome. And he kind of slides up, but you can hear how the vocal folds themselves are not vibrating in the way that a soprano's vocal folds vibrate, or that, you know, they're not vibrating like they're not. It's not.
Dovrebbe un cantante servirsi della voce di petto? No.
Right? They're vibrating like her vocal folds, not like his vocal folds.
Dovrebbe un cantante servirsi della voce di petto? No.
Except like times 10. Times 10 of that quality is in there. Another thing to note is watch the size of the mouth opening here. This is super mellow and dark. And I should mention, another way to make things dark is keep the mouth opening smaller. Right? So here we go. Whoops, it's not going to be dark. Right here. Now watch the mouth opening change. If you're... Look at the maximum, look at the minimum, that's fine. But if you're just kind of like averaging out the mouth shape, you go, as you change registers, and especially, and as you change volumes, you change this mouth shape from medium small to large. Right, but here, how does this sound, you think, compare to our last example? Our last example, we had this head rotation where he's opening his mouth, like not by moving his chin away from his skull, right, but by moving his skull away from his chin, and the sound was different. It was less mellow. It was more nasty and was lighter. This is thicker and heavier, but I would say this is less powerful. It's more mellow, but it's less powerful. But at the same time, it doesn't strike you as less powerful, because it's like you can feel what's behind it. It's like a, I don't know, like a tiger. It's like there's a roar behind the mellowness or something. Notice the chin moves from the head, not the head from the chin. I'm gonna make a note of this. So the opera overdrive, chin moves and then opera edge is more Pez dispenser, so the skull moves. And then we'll... Boom. So maybe keep that. And that's not like saying... That's not saying that your chin's never going to move in opera edge. Like, if you're moving from one set of vowels to another, like something more et, something more e. Okay, you're gonna move. You might move your chin. So you're going for two very different shapes. But let's say you had two of the same vowel and then a consonant in between. That's especially a circumstance. Say you have an e vowel or an a vowel or an o vowel or whatever it is that you want. And in between is a consonant that wants the tongue to be touching the top of the mouth. That's when you're going to start to see these difference between the two, where one has more movement of the skull and one has more movement of the chin. And this one with the more movement of the skull is going to have a nastier sound and tend to have a more extended spine and a chest that's going to ride higher and more forward. And this other one that's more based on yelling and has more of the chin moving and covering and this more mellow sound, that's going to go with a spine that's more flexed and with a chin that's moving more away from the skull. A lot of these vowels, it's really ambiguous. It's hard to tell. And here, this looks like we should have some kind of change here. Because now we're rotating the head away from the chest. He's got the chest angled down so to help him do it, this kneel. But let's see if the sound is more in the nasty direction. So still retracting the tongue to darken it, but we're already getting more a brighter sound. Yeah, this is great. I should have done a pop quiz. Let's look at the frame first. This is really interesting. Got the head kind of protracted, but I see the chin going real close to the chest. So I would say it's going to be more this opera drive thing. And then Norma. So let's see what we got. Yeah. So and instead of this nasty thing, I think it's more direction. And then let's see what happens there with that opening up of the chest. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it did what I predicted. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now is this an E vowel? That's interesting. Is this an E vowel? Or is that an I vowel? And was it the same vowel the whole way through? Or does it get darker as the mouth closes and it goes into the N sound? And does that make your whole brain go back in time and tell you, oh, I heard an E? As the pitch goes down, the mouth closes, it gets darker. And is that an O at the end? Or is that an A? Vincerò? Or was that vincerà? Is that vincerò or is that vincerà? One more time. It's something like vincerà. And you have the lower teeth showing here, which I think is more typical for the edge side of things. When your O starts to sound like ah, and your lower teeth start to show. But I could be wrong. That to my ear sounds like he hit the note and almost fell off of the note and then got off of there quick as he could and emphasized the next note. Yeah, it seems like, I don't know, it seems like he got into trouble or tired or something. I don't know, I'm confused by this last part with the head coming forward and stuff. And I have to say, like, I would prefer Corelli there. Let's watch some more Delmonico next time. I'm getting a little bit hangry. I'm getting a little bit hungry. And then, I guess, tomorrow, back to Otello, back to 4 versions of Otello, the Otello duet. We've got Kaufman and I don't know who it was. I don't know if they put it on there. I'll have to. Did they put the names of people? Anyway. Yeah, Kaufman and her. We've got Domingo and someone. And kind of reminds me of Joan Sutherland. We've got Alanya and someone. Netrebko? Something? No. Alexandra Koruzak or something. And then Corelli and Tibaldi. So let's watch some more of that tomorrow. We got through one whole phrase last time. I think we can do better than one whole phrase next time. Yeah, so see you next time on Mr. Opera.
The tongue affects your singing a lot.
Suddenly everybody is talking about the tongue.
Where exactly should you place your tongue when you're singing?
I always say that your tongue should be placed in a very natural position.
And is there an ideal tongue position that if you were to use it, you'll become a better singer?
If the color of your voice is attached to the position of your tongue, so if you manipulate your color with the tongue, you are creating a fake color.
It's a fake.
A dark that doesn't really exist.
I created it, and it's real.
You are creating a fake color.
It's a fake.
Actually, if you saw that my tongue is not in a tense state, it's actually in a very relaxed state. In fact, it's pulling even farther away.
Larynx and pharynx open. Gola aperta. Words of Giacomo Lauri Volpi.
Open throat technique.
Arturo Melocchi used to say, tenga la lingua avanti. Keep your tongue forwards. Okay? You can hear it here. Tenga la lingua avanti. Tenga la lingua avanti.
And also because we are singing with a high positioned tongue, the sound that comes out of your air pipe gets reflected on your hard palate on the top and goes directly out.
It should be natural.
I always say that your tongue should be placed in a very natural position.
The important thing is to keep your larynx and pharynx open.
If your tongue is in a low position, the tongue itself will partly be in your throat, in the back of your throat.
I use my tongue so that I can maintain good open throat technique.
Tongue rocks straight back. Here's where the tongue does not go up, but the tongue retracts back.
And what you're going to find is that if the tongue is tensing, you're going to actually see the tongue narrowing.
Now, I always say that your tongue should be placed in a very natural position.
You're tearing me apart!
What?
You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again!